Hello everyone, my name is History Nuggets, and today we will be talking about the Cod Wars, the series of wars that resulted in 3 Icelandic victories. To begin, for some background, the seafood industry of Iceland as well as the British Isles are some of the richest areas of seafood in the whole world. The British from the 14th century until today would always love to eat some seafood and would go to Iceland to do so, which was the start of Icelandic-British seafood confrontations. The start of the First Cod War went from September 1958 to March 1961, when Iceland expanded the Icelandic fishery zone from 4 to 12 miles. Every member of NATO said this was a dumb idea, and the British said that fishermen would come and fish under the protection of warships, resulting in a major British fleet heading to Iceland. 53 warships in total began heading to Iceland, while Iceland only had 7 patrol vessels. On the 4th of September, one of these Icelandic patrol vessels attempted to take a trawler off of the West Fjords, resulting in the HMS Russell intervening and colliding with the Icelandic patroller. After more confrontations, Iceland began retaliating heavily. Iceland would threaten to withdraw its membership from NATO, as well as take away U.S. forces on the island. This would result in the United Nations joining in and allowing Icelandic borders to be 12 miles off the island, but Britain would be allowed to come into the zones here and there. The First Cod War was over. Victory in Iceland. The Second Cod War would go between the same nations from September 1972 till November 1973. This one starts with Iceland expanding their limits to 50 miles off of the islands to conserve fish stocks. The British did not like this at all, mainly due to them wanting a larger catch quota. All of Western Europe and the Warsaw Pact said that Iceland was being mean and should stop, but Africa actually supported Iceland, as African nations stated Iceland was a victim of imperialism. German and British fighting ships ignored this new rule and went in on to the first day of the law, resulting in Iceland building a brand new fishing patrol ship, as well as cutting the lines of any non-Icelandic vessel, resulting in the invention of the net cutter. The net cutter would be used first after other British ships would go into the zone and play Rule Britannia over the radios. Iceland would then deploy the net cutter and break and destroy the nets of the fishing boat. A month later, a German trawler saw someone get hurt thanks to a wire getting cut and hitting the crew. Trawlers after this would leave, only to return with British frigates. Operation Dewey would take place, which saw British jets fly around and locate Icelandic ships. Attacks on the British embassy would take place, and the Icelandic Prime Minister Olafur Johannesson demanded U.S. intervention. After a couple of other incidences of collisions, on the 29th of August, an Icelandic Coast Guard engineer died after water struck his electrical equipment. After this, NATO would step in and approve the 50-mile line as long as Britain could come here and there to grab some fish, as well as to go to certain areas at designated times. The Third Cod War would occur from November 1975 to June 1976, when Iceland changed its fishing limits to over 200 miles off the coast. The British did not recognize this yet, and British ships began coming in. The Third Cod War saw by far the most collisions occur out of any of the other wars, with the first happening in December, where a major collision would occur resulting in the Icelandic ship POR suffering serious damage. Rounds would be shot and Icelandic ships would have to dock. The Royal Navy after these attacks sent a massive frigate force to Iceland to prove their strong defense. It was to be a good powerful show for the Soviets as well as Iceland. Another incident would occur causing a massive collision, where Iceland rammed and caused a major hole into the British ship, causing massive British outrage, calling it without regard for life. A British casualty would even occur when a collision resulted in one of the fishermen dying. After all of this, Iceland straight up threatened to leave NATO and would close their base. This closing caused a massive issue in NATO's strong ability in the Atlantic Ocean, resulting in Britain having to go by the rules. NATO would mediate and would allow 24 ships at a time in the inclusion zone. The Cod Wars were over, all 3 ending in Icelandic victory. All in all, the Icelandic response to the British showed major courage against the world's second largest naval power, and with their horrible rule changing, they surprisingly won each encounter against the British. This is History Nuggets. Thank you for watching.